The likelihood that the Fed Reserve will take a pause in the cycle of a monetary policy tightening at the next meeting is rising. On Thursday, the US published a report which showed a rise in the number of unemployment claims, and this once again confirms that the Federal Reserve will have to pause the interest rate hike. At least traders have already stopped buying the US dollar. On Wednesday, we will find out whether the predictions will come true and what decision the Fed will take. In our video review on the InstaForex TV channel, we will focus on the events that may shape trader sentiment early next week. On a Monday, there will be no important macroeconomic events. However, on Tuesday, the situation is a bit different. The publication of the data in the United Kingdom is one of the main events of the day. Thus, in April, unemployment is expected to grow. The number of unemployed people may surge by 22,000 in May, which is twice less than in April. This may point to the fact that a rise in the unemployment rate is just a short-lived phenomenon. In any case, the Bank of England is highly likely to continue raising the key rate, remaining stuck to its stance. The fact is that combating high inflation is the main goal of the monetary authorities. Also, on Tuesday, traders will learn about the economic sentiment in Germany, and the Eurozone's largest economy sentiment among German entrepreneurs is worsening amid the technical recession on the economy. The situation is also aggravated by the predictions of a further rise in the key interest rate, which will make loans for businesses even more expensive. What's more, the country's authorities have to impose sanctions against Russia and China and Germany's main trade partners. All these factors are leading to a decline in the economic sentiment. However, the euro will hardly slump. Traders are likely to sell off the US dollar, thus boosting the single currency, and this could be explained by the expectations of the inflation figures, which may unveil slow down. In April, the United States reported the lowest inflation rate in the last 2 years. That's why the data for May will show even a lower rate, thus increasing the likelihood of a pause in the key rate hike by the Fed. Wednesday is a day rich in events for traders of the euro. Investors will focus on the threat of a global recession, and the Eurozone and Germany in particular have already reported a technical recession in the first quarter of this year. And now traders will switch their attention to the UK, where on a quarterly basis the economic growth rate is barely staying in the green area. On a monthly basis, the indicator dropped. Nevertheless, analysts suppose that in April, the economy will resume growing. The FOMC meeting is the key event of the next week, and traders are actively pricing in the meeting results, expecting that the Fed will keep the benchmark rate unchanged. That's why close attention will be paid to the press conference that follows the meeting. Traders will try to find information about the future plans on the key rate changes. If the Fed chair drops a hint about the regulator's readiness to continue fighting inflation, the US dollar may resume going in value. In the case of a more cautious approach and intention to assess the situation, the greenback may slide deeper. And how we're going to be in the short term in financial markets, we will definitely tell you in our news releases. Subscribe to our channel and follow News with us. And see you soon.